Robert Frost, born March 26, 1874, is one of America's most beloved poets. He isn't known as a horror author, but his work often hints at the ever-present whispering and muttering of death in the midst of existence. This theme stemmed directly from his life, the deep losses he suffered of his children and his wife, and his struggle with depression and illness. Despite those challenges, he managed to win 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. Out Out is a lesser-known Frost poem, published in 1916, and based on the 1910 death of 17-year-old Raymond Fitzgerald, the son of a neighbor of Frost at the time. Now, the boy died from shock and possibly blood loss as a result of a hand injury in a sawing machine. Let's have a look at the poem. The buzzsaw snarled and rattled in the yard, and made dust and dropped stove-length sticks of wood, sweet-scented stuff when the breeze drew across it. And from there those that lifted eyes could count 5 mountain ranges, one behind the other, under the sunset, far into Vermont. And the saw snarled and rattled, as it ran light or had to bear a load. And nothing happened. Day was all but done. Call it a day, I wish they might have said, to please the boy by giving him the half hour that a boy counts so much when saved from work. His sister stood beside him in her apron, to tell them supper. At the word, the saw, as if to prove saws knew what supper meant, leapt out at the boy's hand, or seemed to leap. He must have given the hand. However it was, neither refused the meeting. But the hand! The boy's first outcry was a rueful laugh, as he swung toward them, holding up the hand, half in appeal, but half as if to keep the life from spilling. Then the boy saw all, since he was old enough to know, big boy doing a man's work, though a child at heart, he saw all spoiled. "Don't let him cut my hand off, the doctor when he comes. Don't let him, sister." So, but the hand was gone already. The doctor put him in the dark of ether. He lay and puffed his lips out with his breath. And then the watcher at his pulse took fright. No one believed. They listened at his heart. Little, less, nothing. And that ended it. No more to build on there. And they, since they were not the one dead, turned to their affairs. So, to recap, we have a beautiful natural backdrop with mountain ranges and sweet sawdust smells. A serene setting despite the monster-like quality of the saw, death lurking in an everyday tool. Then we have a boy doing adult work, getting excited about dinner time and cutting his hand almost off, highlighting the seeming arbitrary nature of death. He knows the finality of it, of his impending death, and desperately begs his sister to help him. The hand comes off and the boy is put under an early form of anesthesia and then dies. The people at his side aren't even named. They are just called the Watchers. These indifferent people around him go back to their lives unchanged, and the world spins on. Frost uses a host of tools: alliteration, repetition, colloquialisms, personification, M-dashes, my personal favorite, and short phrases. Used in combination, they foreshadow the coming accident, give the saw a personality, endear the poor kid to the reader, convey his terror, and illustrate the triviality of the people around him to his death. The title of the poem itself comes from Shakespeare's Macbeth and his commentary on the pointlessness of life. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Is this poem a critique of World War I and the triviality to the lives lost? Of industrialism and child labor? Is it a statement on technology? Or is it as simple and obvious as a poem can be about what it feels like to lose someone and have to move on, and how apathetic the world seems to all of it? Was it a way for Frost to work through his own grief? Though I personally value understanding the mechanics of a poem, to me what matters most to the reader on its face is the emotional impact of the art itself on the reader. This poem expresses succinctly what Frost points out in other poems, such as Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, and nothing gold can stay. In the midst of this glorious, beautiful world, there lurks the impermanence of it all, and the specter of death playing its part. Everything moves on, with or without notice of it. I think most of us can relate to this, and Frost was able to capture it for us as he so often does. What do you think of this poem? Do you have any favorite Frost poems? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next week.